Good evening. I'm Mordechai Kaufman, and this is Breslov campus. We're proceeding to the last class on Likutey Moharan, the second section, Tinyana, the first Torah. Okay, first of all, everybody can hear. I hope everybody's able to hear and see. If not, please let me know. Okay, everybody's here. The gang's all here. Put the presentation up. Get that here. One moment, please. Okay. Quick review, and then we have lots of work to do this evening. And of course, we had intended to only do the first part of this Torah, which is a long, involved Torah, but we wanted to really get to this essence of what we were looking for. Okay, and let me just go through this very, very quickly, based upon my notes that I have scrupulously taken. And this is based upon Rav Nachman's exposition of this lesson, which is from Likutey Halachos, Hilchos Shluchim, Halacha Gimel, and Daled. If you wanted to take a look inside, you would go to Likutey Halachos of Rav Nachman. Is the Talmud Mufak, the main student of Rebbe Nachman, and you would go to his major work, Likutey Halachos, Choshen Mishpat, the section of the Shulchan Aruch called Choshen Mishpat, and within there you have a section called Hilchos Shluchim, laws of agency and agents, and you would look in Halacha Gimel and Halacha Daled, and there you would have quite a substantial exposition of certain aspects of the beginning of this particular Torah. Okay, and in this Torah, again, don't forget, Reb Nachman is making this statement right at the very beginning of his Torah, is that Ki ish hayisraeli nivra sheyelo memshal al malachim. The Jew was created in order to have memshala, dominion over the malachim. This is its purpose. This is its destiny. As Chazal has said, Asidin tzadikim sheyem b'chitzason l'fnei malachei yesharos. That in the future, that ultimately, the tzadikim will have a higher, in other words, a closer, more intimate connection and apprehension of the divine than the malachei hasharos, than the administering angels. Rav Nachman tells us over here in this first part of this lesson, okay, we have to go over here, right in here, that every person, every person must try to achieve this ultimate aim, that he achieve mental dominion over the malachim. Okay, but one has to be careful about that, and one has to be able to develop the power, the strength to maintain this particular position of dominion, so that the malachim do not become envious or jealous of him and seek to dethrone him, push him off of that pedestal of dominion. Because the malachim, keep right down here at the bottom, over here, Ki ha-malachim mitkanim od ba'adam kazeh. The malachim for sure are going to be jealous of a person like this who has dominion. K'moshe matzinu shomer Chazal, like Chazal have said, so on and so forth. Al kama gedolim, about how many gedolim shebikshu malachei hasharos l'dochlo. So many gedolim have had the malachei hasharos attempting to dethrone them. This is this top part over here. The Rav Nachman says that the eitzah, the advice that he has for us in order to, first of all, achieve this dominion and then maintain this dominion is lekasher atzmo in nishmos Yisrael, is to attach, to bind oneself to the collective souls of Israel, val yidei hahitkashrut nitzol mehem, and by means of this attachment, this binding to the souls of Israel, he is able to be saved from the malachim who are looking to push him off of this pedestal. As the verse says in Eov, the aspect of this verse is me'aches b'nei chisei, talking about this grasping onto the kisei hakavod we're talking about. Shetzorch le'echos atzma b'shorshei neshamos, the one has to grab hold of the roots of the neshamos, hachatzuvos mitachas kisei hakavod, this root from which the souls are hewn, which is the kisei hakavod, which is the aspect of Ein Kol Chai, the mother of all life. Excuse me. Just in passing, this paragraph here is quite a lot. It's filled with an enormous amount. Because the point of the matter is that what he's saying is the eitzah, the advice, is that one should connect oneself to the soul root of all of Israel, to the collective root of all of the souls of Israel. Okay, is in fact the kisei hakavod. So one has to try to connect the soul down here in the terrestrial realm, right back to its sephirotic root, which is its soul root, which is termed the kisei hakavod, otherwise known as the place, excuse me, whence the souls are hewn, which is the kisei hakavod, otherwise referred to as the Ein Kol Chai, the mother of all life. Now we know the mother in the sephirotic realm refers to the sphere of Bina. Bina is the supernal mother, the Ima Ilo, the supernal mother. Down here in Malchus is the lower mother, but Bina is deemed to be the supernal mother, otherwise referred to as the kisei hakavod. And that's where the souls are all taken from, this particular root within this sphere of Bina, or in that particular area, Bina. Okay, just so you should now understand what he's referring to. One is to grab on to the kisei hakavod, in other words, connect his soul to the soul root. In other words, to transcend this particular realm in order to connect to this higher realm, which in the sephirotic realm is the notion of the kisei hakavod, to grab hold of the kisei hakavod. And we have read this story, this agadata of Moshe Rabbeinu going on high to receive the Torah, and then he's accosted by the malachim, wondering why it is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to give the Torah to basar v'dam, to flesh and blood. And you have this interchange. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe to give them an answer. Have you been enslaved? Have you been in service to Paro? Have you had to deal with the issue of idolatry? Do you engage in business and masu? All of these types of things, which clearly are aspects that the Torah addresses in terms of its mitzvot to the realm of man, not that of the malachim. This is what Moses retorts. We had the first one or two classes was about that in Reb Nachman, the notion of the Torah, the supernal Torah, the supernal das, that actually is refracted through the physical world, through our particular world. In which case, there is an understanding that comes out of that, which of course is beyond even that of the of the Malachim. But that's not really what Rav Nachman and Rav Nosson are really working with over here. They're talking about this connection of the terrestrial soul of man, of the Jew, all the way back to its ultimate source, which of course is high in the Sephirotic realm, the Kisei HaKavod, the Sphira of Bina. One has to grab hold of that and bind oneself to this collective whole. Now, of course, Rav Nosson is going to elucidate to us, to give us an entire background of what all of this means. Now, before we go on to that, I just want to probably jump ahead in terms of reaching a point where we would have liked to have gotten in terms of Rav Nachman, because Rav Nachman is going to be telling us, taking us along here and explaining to us that at some particular point one has to be very, very careful to understand is that these malachim, they seek to dislodge, to push away the individual who is achieving this very, very high realm, because they do not want to have basar v'dam, flesh and blood, rule over them. They do not want this. Also, there's a continuous process of an attempt to overcome, to dislodge, to push this particular person off of that. And then the question becomes, how do you go ahead and maintain this dominion over the malachim, and what all of this means about the malachim and the dominion? What is the dominion? This is all of the stuff that we had been going over last week in Rav Nosson. I'm going to go over that very briefly again in order to come towards this last part. But the fact of the matter is that what Rav Nachman is going to be coming out with over here is he's saying is that the individual, in order to be able to ultimately maintain this height that is possible for man to achieve, for the Jew to achieve, in order to do that, one has to connect to those souls, to that soul. Now, the fact of the matter is that this is a very, very difficult thing to do. Rav Nachman gives us a little bit of a help in there, and he says that what one has to do in order to get there, a shortcut for all of this, is to attach oneself to the tzaddikim. He calls them the hamafursamim. The tzaddikim hamafursamim, the tzaddikim which are well known, that are the real and true tzaddikim. The tzaddik is a collective soul. The individual of the tzaddik, the individual soul of the tzaddik, is a collective soul in which we connect into. We don't necessarily know which of the tzaddikim that we connect to, but when you find the tzaddik that you connect to, you know who it is. There is an affinity. There's something about the particular tzaddik, whether it's the teachings, whether it's the appearance, the connection in terms of sight and voice, of understanding. All of these things an individual has an idea about. And it may not be that there's just one, certainly not. But the fact is that this is a means of connecting to the collective soul of Israel via the tzaddikim, who are themselves transcendent of their own individuality and are collective souls in their own right. And that's certainly a way to bind oneself to this collective whole, which is the Kisei HaKavod, or the Sphira of Bina. Ultimately speaking, Rav Nachman explains to us the individual, in order to not only achieve this transcendent level of rising up to all the way to the Sphirotic realm of Bina, the Kisei HaKavod, and also to be able to maintain one's position there, that they're not pushed off by the jealousy of the Malachim. Rav Nachman explains, this will be on page 20 over here, page 20. I think that I'm probably a few pages off. I'll go all the way over. I'll skip ahead very quickly. Over here, I think I've gone past it, which will be right over here. This part, as he says, but he says that there are three basic issues, three basic problems that serve to keep the individual away from, first of all, achieving this transcendence, and also from maintaining the position that is there. And he says that the three are the three midos, the three traits which keep the person away, okay, and hold back the individual, is what he calls ta'avas mammon, ta'avas achila, the ta'avas mishkal. Says ta'avas mammon is the lust for money. The second part, ta'avas achila, the lust for eating, for effectively, a gluttonous type of lifestyle. And number three, ta'avas mishkal, is basically sexual license. In other words, the unbridled sexuality. Just these three traits, all of them are in the lave. All of them are in the lave, and as a result of that, they undermine the yira, the fear which is also in the lave. Also know that very often lave in Kabbalah connotes the notion of bina, the sphere of bina. It is the lave also. So there's this idea of the lave of man here, as well as the lave being bina, which is soul root. And via these particular three traits, ta'avas mammon, ta'avas achila, ta'avas mishkal, the individual is first of all held back. The yira of the heart is undermined, and as a result, he's not able to achieve this ultimate apprehension to effectively rise and transcend all the way to the collective soul root of Israel. But also, if he would be able to, it would also undermine his maintenance of that particular situation. Okay, so this is the basic Rebbe Nachman that we're talking about. Okay, and we wanted to fill this in, a lot more with what we had started with last week. In Halacha Gimel, Rav Nosson explained to us that Israel is one collective soul. Okay, all come from the Shorish Ha'achdus. In other words, they all have one, a unity, a singularity together. Israel is one. And Achdus is always a bechina, an aspect of emunah. Emunah is the belief in God's oneness. God's oneness is Achdus. Israel has an Achdus in terms of their existential being, okay? And that is an aspect of emunah. Because the fact of the matter is, if you don't understand who you are, which is effectively ontologically an aspect and reflection of the oneness of the Creator, then this entire schematic that Rav Nachman and Rav Nosson are talking about doesn't exist. Emunah is an aspect of the oneness of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, which then gets reflected in terms of the oneness of Israel, which is the shoresh of the neshamos. Now, in Halacha Bet, Rav Nosson explains to us that the main purpose and objective of creation and the ultimate perfection of man is for the person, the Jew, to be reassimilated, reconstituted into the Ein Sof, back to his ultimate soul root. Then, at that particular point, this reassimilation, this reconstitution, allows all of these things, the Torah and Tefillah of the individual, to transcend the individuality of the person and to literally become Torah Hashem, Tefillah Hashem, and so forth. Hashem's objective is to create man in this world, however, with the trait of bechira, of choice. We'll have to explain exactly what we're talking about. Bechira is ultimately the main quality and defining characteristic of the human being. The fulfillment of Torah is only possible via bechira, which then elevates man in a measured and gradual manner from and beyond his materiality. It's this the ultimate level is full assimilation into the Ein Sof. Therefore, when this level is achieved, it is then said that Hashem prays, Hashem puts on tefillin, Hashem it learns Torah, whatever it is at that stage, man is equated to the Ein Sof. Man's actions, as it were, are God's actions because man has been again reconstituted into the oneness of God, which ultimately is what it's all about. Okay, now we have a lot to say about this, as you remember from last week. Therefore, prior to the full assimilation, prior to the full constitution into the Ein Sof, man performs the mitzvahs in the aspect of a shaliach, of an agent. Man is God's shaliach. All of man's avodah, all of his service, okay, is, metaphorically speaking, shlichut, agency. It all takes place within the conceptual category of shlichut. Shlichut, agency, prior to full assimilation back into the oneness, into the achdus of the Ein Sof, okay, is effectively the state of Israel in this world. Israel is the shaliach, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the mishaleach, is the one who sends him. Okay? I think you remember all of that from last week. We go a bit further at this stage. Now, this is a major developmental statement that Rav Nachman makes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates all worlds. He moves from an absolute state of oneness, absolute oneness, to actualizing attributes and so forth, in order, according to the Zohar, to be known, to be recognized. The Zohar says, begin the yishtamodayin lei, that God creates in order that he be known. If God creates in order that he be known, man's objective and man's ultimate state in terms of purpose is das, is to be able to recognize, to know God. If that's what God wants to do in terms of creation, therefore man's objective and purpose is to know God. Man is a possessor of bechira, of choice, which is the mechanism of revelation. It's impossible. The recognition in this world, the purpose of God's creation, is impossible without man. Bechira is the choice to know God. That's what ultimately it's all about. Bechira, though, is the function of duality. It's the move away from absolute oneness into more than one. In other words, to creation, which is two. The move from absolute oneness into duality is the root and the basis and the beginning of Bechira. You can't have a choice unless you have two. For example, remember, if you go to the restaurant, you look at the menu, and then you see that there are for a starter, you have chopped liver, and then underneath that there is chopped liver, and then there is number 3 chopped liver, and you say, well, what would you like as your starter? I think I'll have the chopped liver. Well, that's not Bechira. Bechira comes as a result of choice. In other words, which means more than one. And it is the Bechira which creates the separation. It creates the separation. In other words, if all creation knows God, therefore it remains all one. And therefore, the before, when all is one, and the after creation, when there is at least ostensibly, or at least theoretically, a separation, that after creation would be one as well. Yediyah, apprehension, knowledge, understanding of that oneness is the means via which nichlolin be'achdusa, everything becomes reconstituted into that unity of the one. Das, that absolute knowledge of that truth of the emes, beli shum safek, velo shum makom litos, without any doubt, without any room for mistake, is emes. Das, without that, in other words, the knowledge of a Kadosh Baruch Hu and the apprehension and the reality of that, without any doubt, without any room for mistake, is emes, is the emes. And if that would be achieved, the creation would return continuously to oneness, which would mean the destruction of the universe, because it then would all disappear back into the absolute oneness of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. The key, the ongoing maintenance and the continuance of creation, its sustainability is via the reality of Bechira. You have the right to get it wrong. You have the right to not know. You have the right to not apprehend, but you also have the right to get it right. You have the right as well is to apprehend. There is the place, the makom litot, the place to be mistaken if man wishes. If man wishes to see the emes, he sees the emes. If man does not wish to see it, he does not. Easier said than done. Therefore, we see something very, very clear, is that if in fact Bechira is the function of duality, it means that the makom that is created at the very, very, very beginning, the makom, otherwise known as the halal hapanoi, the vacated space which allows for the creation to take place, when in reality everything always remains a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that makom, that halal hapanoi, basically is the room, the makom litos, for mistake, that room for Bechira. Nothing else has changed. Ultimately speaking, as Rebbe Nachman explains in Torah 64, before creation, after creation, everything still remains oneness. It's not like everything that's created is separate and apart from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's complete achdus. There's absolute one. From our perspective, there is not the oneness. There is no one. There's a separation. That separation that takes place is a result of the Bechira, the choice to know, the choice to be able to understand. Okay? So far, so good. So far, all of this is last week at all. It's a mouthful, that is for sure. Now, the ongoing maintenance of creation afterwards is that based upon this notion of who bara kol v'hu mekayim kol, God creates everything and God maintains everything, is what we refer to as hashgacha, the maintenance of everything after creation. All of nature, kol hateva, all of nature is the mechanism via which Hashem conducts his hashgacha. Teva, nature, is the functional mechanism of hashgacha, of providence, by which, and that is that mechanism which allows for the possibility of error or mistake. It creates room. The teva creates room. The nature creates room for the bechira. It is the masach hamavdil, the veil which separates bechira, teva, choice, nature is the masach, the veil which separates, whilst everything remains in oneness. Hateva be'emes, the truth of the matter is teva in truth is also hashgacha. That's the point. It's always hashgacha, without doubt, without question. With that, I'm going to go back to Rav Nachman. This is review of what we discussed last week, and I want to continue on because, first of all, I love reading the Rav Nachman. The Hebrew and the statements of his ideas are so beautiful, and I don't have the opportunity with you to be able to do it. In the course of 1 hour, one short hour, we don't really have the ability to reach, to this particular point. But let me go ahead and to do this in a way that we're able to make some progress, but nevertheless able to get further. Now, he says over here in Halacha Dalet, Ki Adam mitzad shorish nishmasa hu b'chinas makom shel olam, that man, from the perspective of his neshama, is an aspect of makomo shel olam. He is the place of the world. He is the place of the world. In other words, the fact that we say about a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right, is that hu makomo shel olam, that a Kadosh Baruch Hu is the place of the world. The ain, right, the ain ha'olam makomo, but not the world is not his place. In other words, God is transcendent, way beyond it. So man, from the perspective of his soul root, is makomo shel olam, which is, of course, is transcendent, is an aspect of the Ein Sof. B'chinat kisei hakavod, the aspect of the kisei hakavod, shemisham chatzuv v'nishmaso, from whence his soul is hewn. Avol shom b'shorsho ein shach mitzvah aveira, but up at the root of his soul, the mitzvah, the sin, is not applicable, has no relevance whatsoever. Ki ikar habachira b'zeh ha'olam daika, because the essence of bechira is only in this world. V'al kein nishtalacha adam l'zeh ha'olam. That's the reason why man is sent into this world. Shu bechina zman u'makam kedei sheyelo bechira. This world, which is the aspect of time and dimension, material, place, in order that he should have bechira. V'zebechinas klal kol Torah mitzvahs. He says this is basically the whole story, the whole aspect of Torah and mitzvahs. Ki al yedei kol mitzvah u'mitzvah, by means of each one of the mitzvahs, hu mechaber umkasher um'aleh b'chinas ha'makom l'malam ha'makom. He joins, he connects, and he attaches and elevates the aspect of place, of this place, to l'maylam ha'makom, to beyond it. He elevates it to like he transcends the limit in order to attain the infinite. L'bchinas makom shel olam, sheshom shorish nishmasa, to the aspect of makom shel olam, which is there, the root of his soul. And he says, ulahefech al yidei kol aveira chas v'shalom, by means, the opposite is the case by means of each aveira. Who nifsak the nisrachek, what he does is that he cuts and that he distances chas v'shalom b'b'chinas makom shalom, away from the concept of makom shalom, the infinite. V'nofel tachas ha'makom ha'gashmi, and he falls underneath the materiality of place. Ad asher yashuv b'tshuva, until he returns with tshuva. The oz yachzor v'yalav yuchlal b'bchinas kisei hakavod. What is tshuva about? It's the return, it's the elevation, and it's the reintegration, the reincorporation into the aspect of kisei hakavod, the aspect of makom shel olam, the place of the world. B'chinas, in the aspect of the statement that we have, gedola tshuva, great is tshuva. What? Because it reaches all the way to the kisei hakavod. The pshat, according to Rav Nachman, in that is that tshuva is the capability, again, of effectively causing and helping to reconstitute this attachment, this connection between the terrestrial neshama and its primordial root, which is infinite. Okay, now let's go weiter on the other side. Says that we said that man in this world, by virtue and through his avoda, he elevates in makom to an aspect of beyond makom. He says kol avoda sa'adam b'zeh olam. That's the whole purpose of avodat ha'olam. The work, the service, the toil of man in this world is in order to cause this elevation of everything back to its supernal root, which is Lamaila min Hamakom. He says that Ze'ein Zochen Ki'im Ayidei Kiyum Torah mitzvahs. And this can only be achieved by means of the fulfillment of Torah and mitzvahs. And he says like this: even basically, external type of mundane things that a person engages in, if he does them on the basis of the Torah, eating, drinking, business, all of them have within them Torah, laws, dinim of all sorts. And when he does all these things, eating, drinking, business, and so forth, al pi Torah, by means of the dictates and the direction and the halachos of the Torah, magbia al yodam gamkein hadavar l'shosho. He also elevates them by means of these dinim, by means of these halachot of the Torah. He elevates everything he touches to its root, to the aspect of being beyond time, beyond makom. And because of that, we say that the shliach of a person is like, in other words, that the shliach is like the mishalech. We are the shliach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the mishalech. Because in the aspect of l'mayla min hamakom, above place, above time, the shaliach, us, Am Yisrael, and the Mishaleach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are one. The ikar din shlichus b'Yisrael, machma sheYisrael yidei kol avodah she'osin al pi Torah, heimalin hamakom l'mechis makom she'olu. He says the main shlichus that the individual does is for the purpose of elevation. There's the main purpose of being into this world, coming into this world. The mission, the purpose is for the elevation of everything. Everything that the person touches, everything that the person does, al pi haTorah, on the basis of the Torah and its guidance, its halachot, all of this elevates everything to l'mayla min haTorah, beyond makom, to the place where everything is reconstituted and reintegrated back into the oneness, back into the achdus pashut, a simple oneness. Alkein b'chol Torah shlucha kamoso, ki b'makom sheshalich nishtal l'sham hu sham gamkein. Because that's the point, because that via the elevation that the Torah causes, the shaliach and the mashaleach are one. So therefore, when we, as it says, shlucho shel adam kamoso, the shliach of an individual, the agent of an individual, is as him. Rav Nosson is saying, at its root, that's basically what he's saying, is that whenever we do a mitzvah, whenever we do something that we're commanded to do, it is the ratzon of a Kadosh Baruch Hu that it's done. It's as if it's being done by a Kadosh Baruch Hu itself. It is. It's Kadosh Baruch Hu who's doing it. So as a result, there is this reintegration that takes place. Everything that is done, there's no separation, because the ratzon of a Kadosh Baruch Hu is our ratzon in terms of its being done. There's a unity which is done in terms of the performance of the mitzvah, and as a result, there's the elevation of makom to beyond makom, of time to beyond time. Now, he says right there, he says for sure, the notion of the shlichus, the avoda of man. And when he says avoda, he's not just talking about tefillah or anything like that. He says man's mission in this world. Whatever man does, man's work in this world is done in the aspect of shlichus, as a shlich of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ki ha'adam nishtalach min malo min makor shenektzv nishmasim mishom bebchinas kisi hakavod shu l'mayla min hamakom, because man is sent from the place, from its source, where his soul is hewn, down to here, the aspect of the Kisei HaKavod. He's sent down to this place, from this higher place. He comes and he descends into this world, this place which is makom ubzman v'nislavish v'zeh guf shelo. This place where there is makom, where there's dimension, where there's materiality, where there's time, and where he effectively is clothed in his body. And all of his avoda that he does, that's in connection with Torah and good deeds, he merits to return to that source whence his soul is hewn, and his spirit and his soul are taken from. Continuously, he returns and he elevates from the place to l'mayla, to above it. Sheshom shorish nishmasa b'chisei hakavod. V'al nikra kol ha'avoda b'shem shlichus. That's the reason why all of the avoda, all of the mission of man, all of his action in this world is called shlichut, agency, on behalf of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The point that Rav Nachman is again emphasizing is that the notion for us of this world, of the materiality of place and time and body, all of that, he says, that's the Mosach HaMavdil, that is the veil which separates over the reality of the oneness, that is everything all the time. You know, we have this idea, this concept in our heads, in our imagination of going, we have to go take almost a rocket ship to the moon to reach the place whence the souls are hewn. He says that's not it, because it's right here. Everything is the oneness of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. It means that by means of the mitzvah, by means of the choice to know, to make our avoda a shlichus of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, we have the capability of being able to pierce that veil. Understand something, that the Kisei HaKavod, Kisei, the word Kisei is the throne. That's true. This notion of the supernal being, and us down here, the supernal man, Adam Kadmon as it were, and man down here. There's the notion of throne. That is for sure. But Kisei also, it comes from the word l'chasot. The word l'chasot means to cover, to conceal. The Kisei HaKavod is also the concealment of the kavod of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, by grasping on, as it were, to the Kisei HaKavod, me'achez. Me'achez also means to pierce. When a Kadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe, grab on to the Kisei HaKavod and give them an answer, it also has the connotation of pierce that veil, pierce that covering over the kavod, and then be able to fully see and to apprehend and to experience that achdus, that full achdus that is there. The elevation of the soul, the elevation back to its, quote, place of oneness, is the piercing of that veil. That's the grabbing on to the Kisei HaKavod, the piercing of the covering of the kavod by means of the elevation of one soul, by means of the avodah, the mission, the shlichut being done in accord with Torah and mitzvot, which then elevates everything, helps that choice to be able to become not one of a choice, but to become definite, to become 100, where there is no makom litos, no place for mistake to occur. That is the point. That is the point. We have to get here. So what is it then? What is it then that the angels are so upset about? Let's go right there. He says the following is that if in fact the Kodesh Baruch Hu would have revealed his hashgacha continuously, everyone would see it, everyone would be able to understand and to be able to see all of that. He says that would have negated the tzimtzum, the contraction, right from the very beginning, and in the hiding of the halal panoi, okay, which would then negate the bechira, and everything then would return to absolute oneness. There would be no creation. Think about that. When you think about that concept of what if everything is one, yet we do not perceive it. If in fact we're able to break through this veil and then to be able to perceive, then therefore there's no separation. Everything becomes one again. Therefore, creation, as it were, disappears. It all becomes included back into the absolute oneness. That's the reason why Kadosh Baruch Hu does not openly reveal his hashgacha. That would not make sense. He says that's the reason why Rav Nachman explains is that the malachim were not created until day number 2, not on the first day. Why is that? So that no one should ever say that it was the malachim that were doing this or something of that sort. The malachim are creations of a Kadosh Baruch Hu sent to do his bidding. Hamalachim nivru kedei shiyu shluchim, because the malachim are created so that they should be shluchim kaviyachol, as it were, beino uveino, between God and between the world, the creation. Dahainu shiyan higa olam al yodam. That is to say that a Kadosh Baruch Hu should conduct and rule his world by means of them, by means of his shluchim, which are the malachim. Kidei shelo yiru kol hanhagasu biatzmo. And the basic point of it is that it should his rule should not be seen. What should be seen is the function of the malachim. It's the malachim that everybody thinks. In other words, the forces and the agents that a Kadosh Baruch Hu uses in terms of the conduct of his universe, what we might call teva. Nature is in a way the malach, part of the malachim of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, because they are there to do his bidding. We look at them and that looks like the way everything is done, but it's not true. It's a Kadosh Baruch Hu who is empowering and ordering the malachim, his messengers, his agents, to be doing his bidding. Everything of which goes on in this world is done by means of being a shaliach, an agent in some form or fashion of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's exactly what they are. Kadeshia bechira, in order that there should be bechira. The whole point of the malachim is in order that there should be bechira. Without the malachim to effectively give the impression, to be the veil over everything, we would not be able to have bechira. And if we would not be able to have bechira, there would be no point for the creation whatsoever. Man would not be able to then have the ability to connect everything together and to raise it up back to being lamaila min hamakom. And as we says, ube'emes gam kisheman yigo l'madei shaliach al yidei bechinas malach. Even when a Kadosh Baruch Hu conducts the world by means of his shaliach, by means of a malach, shemishom achizas hanhogas hateva, which is the basis of the conduct or the rule of teva, the way that teva, nature, actually works. Shemishom kol hatautim shel kol hakofrim v'machakrim v'apikorsim. That is the specific locale, the locus of all of the mistakes, of all of the rejectors, all of the philosophers, all of the apikorsim. Everything is because they confuse the rule. Who is the ruler? Is it teva? Is it something else? We don't see a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that becomes the effective stumbling block for everyone. Be'emes gam ozman hu yisbarach olam bi'atzmo al yidei hashgachas b'atzmo. Continuously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu alone conducts the creation himself by means of his hashgacha. Because everywhere, in every place, in every locale, constantly, where his agents are being sent, Sham hu ba'atzmo gam ken kavyachol. He's also there as well. He's the one who sends them. It is his power that they are effectively operating with. Bechinas hatashlach brochim, so on and so forth. Rak pe'ulat hamalach u'al yada. The work, the action, the function of the malach is all by means of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem Yisbarach Malim U'Mastir. HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals and conceals himself in this world until no one can see it. You cannot see it. But it is, in truth, only a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Rach al Yidei HaMalachim. By means of the malachim, the agencies, the tools, the instrumentality of the malachim, shemishom achizas hateva, from there, which is of course the grasp and the hold and the functioning of teva, mastir hanhagaso bi'atzmo kidei sheyeh bechira. He conceals his hanhaga, his conduct of everything himself, in order that there should be bechira. Ubishvilza, and because of this, he's created man so that he has bechira, in order to have bechira, so that he should choose the good. Shiyamshich etzmo el emes, he should drag himself, pull himself to the truth. V'yamin b'Hashem Yisbarach, he should believe in a Kadosh Baruch Hu that all of his conduct of creation is him and him alone, and that the conduct and the functioning of teva is the aspect of a malach. Hakol hayadu leva, but everything is only ultimately HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rakhu yizbarach malim u'master ratzon b'shvil chir, but he conceals himself in order that there should be bechira. Al kain, therefore, yisku Yisro. Therefore, Israel is able to merit that they should have dominion over the malachim by virtue of the fact that they believe in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that he himself is the creator of anything, everything, me'ayin yesh, from nothing to something, and that he alone is the conductor of his creation, and that the malachim are only shluchim, instruments, agents, sent from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and gam, and also in the place where they are sent to, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always there. It's always him, not them. And the ikar, the essence of their agency, is in order that man alone should have the bechira. Therefore, me'achashem zochin lahasi kol sebemes, that when the Jew is able to merit the apprehension of this in absolute truth, at that particular point, without question, vaday yela mem shalam alachim, he is able to attain the dominion over the angels, shelo nivru ela b'shvilom, because they have not been created except for them, for the Jew to be able to know God, b'shvila b'chira, for the choice. And when, in fact, they merit, the people merit, the Jew merits, the person merits, to break the choice, to break that question, and to choose the good, and to connect to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, they are for sure higher than the malachim who were created for them. Therefore, they become rulers. They become rulers over them. They are higher. They're beyond them. That's the reason why the malachim become jealous. They become jealous that a person should be able to have menshala, should be able to reach a level much higher than them, because in terms of their essence, in terms of their shoresh, okay, they're inherently different. The Jew has the neshama, part of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, which is part and parcel of the Kisei HaKavod, which is part and parcel of the Ein Sof, ultimately speaking. They rule. They have the capability of ruling over that which is lower than them, which of course are simply instruments created for their service. That's the reason why they are jealous of them and wish to effectively push them off of their throne. The fact of the matter is, I'm going to cut this very, very short because we could go on for a lot of lessons over here. Perhaps at a later time, we will be able to reach it. Rebbe Nachman's point in all of this is how to attain the das. First of all, the knowledge, the certainty, to have the mindset to be able to, first of all, to understand, to be able to pierce that veil, to be able to pierce the covering of the cover, to grab on to the kisei hakavod, to connect the terrestrial neshama back to its soul root, and then how to maintain it, how to be able to keep that there. He says that very, very clearly there are three main issues. He calls it mama, achila, and mishgal. All three basic areas are functionally that where a Kadosh Baruch Hu is supreme. Mammon, for sure, mammon, and that which it affects all comes from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, we understand that the lust for money, okay, is effectively that which comes from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Anyway, the money is nothing. The money is nothing but a malach that has efficacy. Achila, the gluttony, the food. Food is the basic sustenance. Is sustenance. Hazon esu olam kulo betuvo. It is only a Kadosh Baruch who sustains, where all of everything comes from him. Food is the main means by which we understand the hashgacha of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Gluttonous behavior in terms of this very precious sacred area destroys our das. This is something that has to be elevated, not lowered. And then, of course, mishgal, sexual license over here, creative. The main essence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu is his creativity. Hatov, umetiv, the one who does good. There knows this notion of creation and providing and giving life. All of that is from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's something which is a sacred trust for us. Rav Nachman explains to us these are the main areas that we have to control, that we have to bring underneath our power, enabling us. There's a purpose to it. It's not that it's just nice and it's good and we're bidden to do so, but what is possible to be achieved as a result of the grandeur that's able to be achieved by man as a result of this is enormous. Consider what's at stake. Consider what in fact can be achieved. And this is the means by which it can take place. Right here before Rosh Hashana, I can think of no better message that can be delivered to all of us. How to come to be able to know and recognize our Creator. How to come to elevate our souls back to its soul root. How to come to effectively put in place that which is really our servants. That which we effectively can use for very, very wonderful things in this world as shluchim, as agents of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and fulfill our mission on this earth. I wish all of you a very, very, very fine week. And all of you, I will not be able to speak to you before Rosh Hashana. I wish you all all the very, very best. It should be a wonderful, blessed, gebenchid yor to everybody. Kadosh Baruch Hu should fulfill all of your wishes for the good, always. And may we learn Torah, be zocheh to learn Torah continuously and strongly in the new year. All the best.